Hello, crypto friends. Checking back in on the big three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and we'll look at NEO, which had some bad news and a perfect example of fear and a good example of being able to buy the dip for a quick flip. So starting off with Bitcoin, new all-time highs. Congratulations, bulls, and a great time to capture this cup and handle pattern, which you don't often see in the wild. You see it set up and pointed out all the time. Everybody wants it to be a cup and handle on their chart. A lot of bias in that, but it is a clear one here where we have, again, I went over it in the video yesterday, resistance level. We consolidate a cup handle, or I should say a cup pattern, lower high on the right side. Because of the inability to break that resistance, we see consolidation and a little bit of profit taking. It's healthy consolidation, and there's your breakout on increasing bull volume. We're on the verge of a bullish MACD cross, and we're really looking good for further upside here. I don't believe that we are done with Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs. We did just hit a double top and are pulling back a little bit. But let's zoom in on the shorter term time frames. So the bulls saw a huge move, and the key for the breakout occurred when 4,400 broke. And there were a couple signals to get in before that where you could have made, I actually made an entry. I was in that Ethereum trade over last night, and I sold it this morning, and I jumped into Bitcoin. Perfect timing in terms of this breakout. So I was watching the hourly time frame, and right here is when I sold my Ethereum for its thing, and I wanted to get those profits to continue to work for me. And right here we saw inside bars, tightening range. I said to myself, okay, I just had a really nice overnight game with Ethereum. My week is on its way to being made at this point with the way that things have been going the past 2 days. Ethereum overnight, 2 nights in a row, has been really nice. So I said, okay, I'll get into here and hope we get a move to all-time highs today. We're close enough that that's certainly in possibility. And I will set my stop loss below the consolidation low of these 4 candlesticks. So I got in the low 43.60s, and I put my stop loss just under 43.50, this nice round psychological level that held 4 hours in a row. So if that level breaks, I'm stopped out. I have a pretty small loss of maybe $15, $20, which wouldn't really be significant at all with the Ethereum gains already locked in on the morning. And of course, had perfect timing in terms of this working out with a bull break of the inside bars, the bull volume pouring in, and a new all-time high. So that's a great sign for the bulls. Obviously, every time we're continuing to get those higher highs, the 15-minute time frame here had a volume climax at that all-time high, and this volume climax was part of the reason why I took my profit in the 46.30s I sold. And this is one of those scenarios where people want to avoid using market fees or market orders to avoid fees. And I sold half of it or so on the way up in limit orders. And then I noticed using the order book, the tide turn. And I saw the selling pressure pick up. And I very quickly switched my game plan and sold the rest at market. And I took half of my order in fees. But the way we pulled back, we dropped all the way back down to over $100 there. So that was certainly worth that, eating those fees in order to exit at the top as everybody rushed to the exit for a quick pullback. So from where we stand right now, I did make a re-entry, and I actually made a dumb mistake. I'm human too, and I make these dumb mistakes. But I made a re-entry, and I had a decent position and looking for that new all-time high. And we hit a resistance point here of that all-time high, 46.57, and we topped out at 46.44. And if you remember, the last time Bitcoin was at all-time highs, we had a double top at the all-time high and then pulled back fairly significantly from that point. So that was sitting in the back of my mind. But I meant to place my stop-loss order on my position and didn't double-check that it was a stop-loss, and I ended up selling it all market order and definitely contributed to the pullback that we're seeing here, but ended up still exiting with some profit, just left some money on the table in the way that that played out. Although, now where we currently stand, kind of happy I did that because I would be down more than if that didn't happen. So little bit of a dumb mistake, but worked out where, it didn't turn around and run away to new all-time highs without me. So I took a lap, cleared my mind, and now ready to assess the situation and see if I want to make another entry. But the big three are all very strong right now, so it's kind of a crapshoot in terms of who we choose because they're all going up. And it's been nice earlier this week where they've gone one at a time. It went Ethereum, then it went Litecoin, then Ethereum, then Bitcoin, then Ethereum. So you're able to jump around and capitalize on these moves. Although now today, more so than at any time this week and over the weekend, we're seeing all three run in unison with their correlation strong together. So not as easy as picking the clear lead bull as it was the past 2 days. So where we stand right now, we are breaking a higher low pattern. This break right here of 45.88 is a little bit of a red flag. We dropped down to 45.87. So $1 is not very significant at all. So I wouldn't call that a clear bear break at this point. The bulls are going to try and hold that support. If it breaks more significantly, I'm looking down at 45.58, the other little consolidation low on the 15-minute time frame, as the bulls are trying to stair-step their way back to that all-time high. but a little bit of a setback. The bull volume is certainly still in favor at this point. I'm not going to be making an entry personally unless I see a clear sign of strength and getting in on bull momentum. Otherwise, getting in on a clear support level where it would not be high risk if getting stopped out, just like that earlier trade was with that 43.50 support before this breakout. So Ethereum had a really nice move overnight and was very pleased swinging this position and waking up this morning. And I took my profit in the 360s, the low 360s was my average. I did scale out a little bit overnight, but the majority was taken in the lower 360s. So the bulls are not slowing down. Look at this nice ramp up in bull volume showing that momentum. We are extended. The RSI on the hour or the 4-hour time frame is the highest it's been in a while. And we did get up there back in early August for a brief spike, and we're back up at similar levels now. So I'm definitely cautious at this level, where if I am looking at any Ethereum trades, I would be, just scalping $3 or $4 and then wanting to be back out, because we are likely to pull back in the short term because of how overbought we are. That being said, we have a correlation with Bitcoin going, where Bitcoin hits a new all-time high right now. This RSI is not going to matter on Ethereum, in my opinion, and we will see continuation. So the daily time frame for Ethereum has shown us the lack of resistance, which is why the bulls are so easily moving through here. After 352, the next resistance on the daily time frame was back here on June 20th at 365.79. So that's a $13 move before you encounter the next resistance. And now that we've broken that one, the next resistance after 365 is up at 381. So we're really seeing $15, $16 moves in between these resistances, which is why the bulls are just slow and steady, grinding away at these asks and moving up. So where we currently stand, we do not have many resistances until the all-time high. I'm looking up here at 381.66, 400 psychological, and then looking up at 420. So the bulls are definitely within striking distance here, and the daily time frame, the RSI is getting up there, but that doesn't matter if we hit blue sky breakout. It's just the 4-hour time frame is extended enough to the point where I would want to see some consolidation on this 4-hour time frame before making an entry. And we saw this again back here where we had slow and steady bulls, a nice little pop, and then 12 hours of consolidation before the bulls were ready to show back up again. So I am cautious on Ethereum at these levels. The hourly time frame is a very, very clear higher, low, higher, high pattern, and it almost looks like computerized trading at this point on the hourly time frame, in the sense that it's just such a clear higher, low, lower, high pattern. And at this point, key support is down here at 367.02, pretty much the low of these red candlesticks, the low of the consolidation, 363 and 357.10. Those are the three support levels I'm looking at, and if we break the first one and break these higher lows, we know the start of more prolonged consolidation is coming. But we're still up at the high here, and we got 375 psychological, 380 psychological before we get to that low 381 resistance point. And again, that correlation with Bitcoin is going to keep these bulls in control as long as Bitcoin is right on the verge of all-time highs. So where we stand right now in terms of choosing which name is best to be in on and who's going to see the most upside, not a ton of difference. If I had held my Ethereum position all through the morning, and I would have had very similar, I haven't done the exact math, but it would have been very similar gains to what I did get from Bitcoin there. Bitcoin was definitely a little bit more powerful and a little bit more short-term, so a quicker move, that's what I mean by short term. So I did make a little bit more profit by making that switch, but not a huge significant difference because Ethereum has kept up this really strong move. Litecoin is getting close to a break as well. We don't have an inside bar here because we did break to a higher high. We're currently forming an inside bar today, and we just got really close where we hit a double top at the all-time high essentially. So we've got the high at 64.67, 64.73, 64.45. So clear tops, and watching to see if the bulls can break this level, because we know Litecoin probably has the most significant gains in terms of blue sky breakout these days, and that is because, of course not compared to some of the altcoins, but in terms of Bitcoin's blue sky breakout move compared to what Litecoin can do, a little bit of money goes a really long way on Litecoin. So definitely watching for a break, a clear break, because I want to be in on that. And at this point, we've consolidated enough where the 4-hour MACD has crossed back bearish, and we're just flat here. So if we do see a new all-time high, we'll get another bull cross with it. The hourly time frame for Litecoin, we can see support just established at 63.09, and we had support down here at 61.25. So the turnaround was on the 15-minute time frame, and it was very clear when that happened, where we zoom out and we see the consolidation from the high. It's just lower highs and lower lows, and at this point, we started to see some bullish action. So we saw a big bull move here, and it did get evaporated all the way back down But that was when that was a heads up. Okay, we're breaking some of these lower highs. Let's start paying attention now. And we pulled back, and then we set our higher low and higher high, and the big spike in volume occurred. A little bull flag of healthy consolidation, continuation. So the bulls are definitely here and on their way to this all-time high. They're pretty close along with Bitcoin bulls. Question is going to be who's going to hit that new all-time high first, and that's the name that I'm going to be jumping in on. So support is down at 63.09 and down at 62.82 and then down to 61.80. And resistance right now, we're looking at 64.10 and then that 64.45 level before the all-time high. So again, between these three names, really can't go wrong with going bullish at any point today. And in terms of Ethereum, I'm going to choose Bitcoin and Litecoin over Ethereum because they are both right on the verge of all-time highs. Ethereum is not, and Ethereum's 4-hour RSI does have me a bit hesitant in terms of risk to reward. I don't believe that the reward from these levels in Ethereum is going to justify the risk of that potential pullback. So Litecoin and Bitcoin are on my radar overnight, new all-time highs, and I'm absolutely jumping in. And it's been a great week so far, probably one of the top 3 weeks in the past couple of months in terms of gains. And the cryptocurrency gains keep coming. It's not slowing down, which is a great sign. The market cap's continuing to increase. Every time we hit an all-time high, we get some news stories, and more people get interested. And I'm just noticing it. I'm sure everybody is noticing it in their life, with just people starting to say, maybe I should get some Bitcoin. And certainly feels like they're a little bit late to the party, but maybe they're not. So NEO had a dump today on news, and the news was that China might block access to ICOs, and a lot of people with an upcoming ICO had their NEO ready to make the purchase, and then once they realized, oh, we're not going to be able to participate in the ICO, why am I holding this NEO? I want out. So that was the dump that occurred, and you look on the 4-hour time frame, and it was just an all-out collapse on high volume. And the 4-hour RSI got oversold. It doesn't show it here, but that's because we saw this bounce. When the candlestick was down here near the low, we were oversold on the 4-hour time frame. The hourly time frame RSI was down close to single digits. And you can see how significant we bounced on this volume climax candlestick. But we had a lot of people in the chat room buying this dip and making some flips because they know not to react to fear, and they know that they should be buying when everybody else is panicking, if we have the right indications to do so, which we certainly did in terms of so many oversold time frames. And the bounce that occurred, looking at the 15-minute time frame, someone panicking here, someone sold at $28, $29, and then 15 minutes later it bounced 20%. So anybody getting in under $30 had a really good entry and a 20% gain. And this is the kind of move where I would be looking to lock my gains in short term, because the only reason I would be getting into this name is to play this oversold bounce, and I would just want to take that profit and take a step back and probably be done with it, just because there's no way we're changing the trend and going bullish after this kind of dump. We're just going to bounce around and see the range tighten and see the equilibrium patterns start to form as we start to see price discovery in this new range that we have not been in quite some time. So the hourly time frame, we have our dump, the low of the dump, the high of the bounce. Higher low will likely form a lower high compared to 36.34, and this equilibrium pattern will likely break sometime in the wee hours of the morning on the East Coast here. And we're watching the key range right now, which will continue to tighten up, 31.84 and 36.34. So we can look to be playing that break as well if there's a clear break of that equilibrium pattern. But again, on the oversold bounce play, I don't want to be in a position where I'm having to sit through this equilibrium pattern that I know is coming after that quick bounce. I want to be out on that quick bounce and then be able to move around to other plays, because we certainly know there's no shortage of opportunity in all of these names right now. So that's what we've got heading into tonight and into tomorrow. Currently sitting all cash due to a dumb mistake that actually worked out in my benefit, although we'll see in the end if it does or not. We'll likely have to get a bit of a worse entry if I do want to get back in on Bitcoin. So I appreciate all the likes and the shares, and I will see you all tomorrow.